There's a story many of us learned in school about a character named Johnny Appleseed. I'm not sure if he was a real person. I guess you can Google it and find out more. But what I remember in school, they read us this story, and it was about this guy who wore a pot on his head, and he would go around spreading apple seeds, apple tree seeds. And he wanted things to grow. He was a really good guy, and he was kind of like a traveling nomad, just wandering through the forest. So he made a campfire at night because he was so cold, and he saw that mosquitoes were flying into the flames and getting killed. So he put out his campfire and he dealt with the cold and he dealt with the mosquitoes biting him because he was such a good guy that he couldn't bear to see the mosquitoes dying because of the fire. When I was around 18 or 19 years old, I was trying to sleep in my room, and there was a fly in the room. And it was buzzing around the room very loud, like bzz, bzz, bzz. Big, fat, fucking American fly. And it was super annoying. I tried opening the window, I tried opening the door, I turned on the light outside to try to attract it, I tried fanning it away because I wanted to be like Johnny Appleseed. I didn't want to hurt anything. And my mentality was and is that life is sacred in of itself, no matter what it is. If we're attaching importance to living creatures and things, then everything has equal value. So for several hours, I tried to get this fucking fly out of my room, but it was too fast. I couldn't I couldn't get it to go out my window or my door. So in a moment of extreme annoyance because I was sleep deprived and it kept flying at my face and the buzzing, and I actually fucking hate bugs. I just flipped out and I squashed it with the paper I was holding that I was trying to shoo it out of the window with. So that may sound kind of funny, like, why do you feel so bad about killing a fly, and why am I thinking about it 12 years later, 11 or 12 years later? There's a few other instances with bugs like that. When I was in college and I was 18, um, a little before the fly, there was a bunch of my classmates. We were smoking under a bridge, and there was a cockroach or a beetle, and they managed to hurt it somehow so it couldn't move, and they were burning it with their lighters to see how it would react. And I actually screamed. I was like, "Ah, what are you doing?" It was so sadistic, and they were it. It's so strange looking back. They weren't being like gleeful or malicious about it. It was more like they were curious. They wanted to see what would happen if they burned it and how it would react. They were like, "Oh, look at it." It's like they were studying it. They were like, "Oh, look how it's reacting." But seeing it writhe around in so much pain, even though it's something like a cockroach, and I've killed cockroaches in my life, they really gross me out, but it really bothered me. And Even now, I have like a fly catcher in my house. If there's flies, like it'll catch it, and if I see them stuck to the fly paper and they're still alive and struggling, I'll squish them because the thought of them being stuck there for days alive bothers me. Like I'm like, okay, I'll kill you, but I'll end your suffering. So there's other examples in my life like that. Like my father taught me not to kill spiders because spiders eat bugs and spiders are good. So whenever I used to, whenever I would see a spider, I would put it outside. So in college again, one of my classmates was in my dorm room, and I picked up a spider and I put it outside, and he was like, "Wow, you're a really good person." And I was like, "It's just a spider. Like, there's no reason to kill it." Now, actually, I usually do kill spiders if I see them because I'm like too lazy not to kill them. And this brings me to my overall point in talking about this and killing bugs. I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's right. And it's like eating meat. I eat meat, I do. But I don't think it's right. I think that while we are in the grips of our urges, in the sense that we feel compelled to eat, most people eat meat, and we embrace hurting things. And maybe that's a sad truth of the world right now. Maybe most instances of violence are unavoidable. I know there was I've never read any of his books, but I see his quotes online. The author, Terry Pratchett, he wrote about seeing like an otter family tear open the belly of a fish, and the fish eggs spilled out of it, and he talks about like how it's a beautiful moment for the otters but a horrific moment for the fish. But that's nature. Like, they have to eat to survive. So I believe that true morality, maybe we can't avoid violence on all levels, right? At least not in the foreseeable future. But that's what we should be working towards, because whatever about different religious morality and ethics and whatever, it seems apparent to me that living things experience pain and pleasure. Maybe we perceive these things in different ways. Maybe certain things that we classify as living, like plants, or let's say like bacteria or other microcellular life, like maybe these things don't perceive those sensations the same way we do. But I think that most things in life want to stay together, in the sense that they don't want a piece of them cut off or blown apart. And I think it is what we should be working towards, to minimize all suffering for everything in life, for every person, for every animal, for every little creature, in whatever way we can. So, yeah, maybe right now it seems impossible, but here's something I advocate for is lab grown meats. I think eating meat is something that we can't get rid of, but if we're able to grow meat in labs, then that's one way to minimize suffering for animals. So yeah, things to think about.